This is Ryan Murphy's first official show for Netflix. You may remember The Politician. That wasn't commissioned for Netflix, but this is part of his six-figure sum to be coming over to the streaming giant. This is sort of an alternative look, 1940s Hollywood, as if it were more inclusive when it comes to race and female roles and all that. Stellar cast of familiar faces, very twee, very bright, very sunshiny. How can you best set this one up, Matt? Really,
I don't know. Are you asking for me to do it, or just to tell you how to do
just
it?
brief. No, to give me the steps. Just briefly sum it.
So, as Luke said, yeah, this is set in post-World War II Hollywood. The first episode primarily focuses on Jack Costello. He's a World War II veteran who aspires to be a Hollywood star. His wife is pregnant, so he endeavours to get a job, gets recruited by a character played by Dylan McDermott, who owns a gas station, which turns out to be, I suppose you could call it, like a bordello or something like that. It's fronting as he's essentially a pimp. Everyone that works for him are gigolos. Jack meets Holland Taylor's character, Ellen Kincaid, who's an executive at a studio and is married to the head of the studio. It's called Ace Studios. The second episode focuses mainly on Darren Criss's character, who is an aspiring director, wants to make a film with a real-life actress, Anna May Wong, who was famously disregarded by Hollywood because she was an Oriental lady working in that sort of time period. Also, a character called Camille, who is Darren Criss's character's partner. She's a African-American actress who wants roles that would traditionally go to white actresses. And we do continue Jack's storyline as well, and he becomes a contracted employer at Ace Studios because of his relationship with Ellen Kincaid. How's that?
Yes, very good. I listened to some of that. my thing is though that this era of Hollywood, I don't really have any grounding in. I don't really know. I know Rock Hudson is a character in this.
Yeah, so he's the character. We do meet him in the first episode. You know, there's the other gigolo, the black guy that he recruits.
Mm-hmm.
He's the guy who he went to bed with in the first episode.
So some things of late, maybe it's because of the situation we're in, I found impenetrable to get past that first episode, and I wonder whether it's because of the way I'm feeling or because I just don't have any grounding in this. The 1940s Hollywood is just so not me. I wouldn't be able to pick Rock Hudson out of a lineup, and so I don't really know who they are or what it's saying. I don't even really know, what points they're trying to make, because I don't know what state the industry was in then anyway. So I wonder whether it spoke more to you with your background in film, because for me it didn't hit any buttons really.
I feel it was very base. There wasn't a lot they were saying that we didn't already know. It's one of those where it's very earnest in its depiction of the wide-eyed boy in Jack, I suppose, is our central figure throughout the series, but it's primarily in the first episode. So he's the person who you see Hollywood through the eyes of, and it's not as glamorous as it seems. Getting ahead is often sleeping your way to the top rather than having any particular talent. It looks fantastic. You've got that Netflix budget behind it. But I preferred the second episode because I love Darren Criss. Jim Parsons is in the second episode, but I felt he was very over the top as this slimy agent.
It just felt a bit hollow to me, that first one.
I think
it was
some
all
of the
glitz and glamour and shine, but I just didn't feel any.
It was very, as I say, there wasn't a lot going on below the surface, and I think as well in the second episode there's a long diatribe about the Anna May Wong story, which I think Ryan Murphy feels like we should care more about these Hollywood stories that only he really likes. I mean, I preferred Feud was a very similar style and looking at old Hollywood and things like that, but I think the characters of Bette Davis and Joan Crawford were a lot more intriguing than these fictional characters that he's created, who don't feel fully formed.
Sometimes I can be blinded by extravagance and big sets and sunshine and everything glistening, and below the surface of all that I just didn't find anything to cling on to. There were no characters really here that I could get invested in, and the world didn't speak to me at all.
Yeah, I mean, some of the performances I quite liked. I thought Dylan McDermott was good as Ernie, the pimp who owns the gas station. Holland Taylor was probably my favourite here as Ellen Kincaid, very nurturing character. As you say, I think certainly that first episode was a real chore. At times, it did bore me. I think the second episode had a better pace to it, but there wasn't anything there that really stood out, I suppose, is what we're trying to say. If you want a depiction of this time period that worked, is more entertaining, I'd recommend the Coen Brothers film Hail Caesar.
I've got that to watch. I've never seen that yet.
There you go. Watch that instead.
I will do. Hollywood is available in its entirety on Netflix
7
now.
episodes. Strange. So.
Strange number, yeah. Strange number.